those are the sort of things you can actually do in HR. Like you see a problem, you see something that actually that's not right, or we can do better, and you can actually make that difference.
And we're live.
Okay.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm back again with another career plug series, and today I've got the lovely Michelle with me. She's going to be talking to us today about HR, risk and compliance, and HR management in general. So as you guys know, I've been doing the career plug series to interview loads of successful black professionals in their field to get an insight into the day-to-day and find out a bit more about their individual sectors. So today I'm so excited to have Michelle with me. I've known Michelle for good however many years now. How long has it even been?
Oh my gosh, it's been too long.
Yeah, too long.
Yeah.
So excited to have her here. So I will just get straight into it. So Michelle, what is your current job title and how long have you been in your field for?
So my current job title is I'm a HR risk and compliance manager, and I started working in the HR field in 2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was that like then? So when you first got into HR, like what was you doing then?
So when I first got into HR, I mainly worked in recruitment. So I was just recruiting, just working in recruitment and producing offer letters, contracts, just assisting where I can really. It was an entry level role, so it was pretty basic in regards to the activities and duties and stuff.
Okay, and what sort of, so what does a typical kind of day-to-day of like a HR manager look like? So when you first started, so you said like you did like some kind of like admin type tasks. What about like the actual like HR side of things? What kind of things did you get involved in?
So I got involved a little bit, I got involved with so learning and development, so I did a bit of training, it was really entry level. I did some recruiting, sourcing candidates, interviews, offer letters, contracts. I was also brought in to kind of work on a project. It was a senior manager certification regime, and that was a new regime that came into play in March 2016. So I was brought in to kind of head up the project. That was the main part of my role, and everything else was kind of just stuff that I was doing outside of that.
And did you always want to do HR, or did you sort of like fall into it, or was that always what you wanted to do?
I liked HR. There was something about HR that I liked, but I didn't know what it was. So I just started to do reading around it. And I remember when I was in my previous role, I asked to kind of shadow someone in the HR department, and they wouldn't let me shadow someone in like employee relations or anything like that because it was confidential. But they did allow me to sit with someone in learning and development, and I thought, this is nice, but I think I want to do the real stuff. But yeah, just to working with people and stuff like that. And I reached out to some people on LinkedIn just to find out what they were doing in their roles and how they got into it, and that was pretty much where I started. They gave me advice, and I kind of just used that to search and find the role.
That's actually really good, actually, because I think like a lot of people should get into the habit of doing that, of like, especially when you're about to go into a new field, it's good to kind of reach out to people who are already there, and like find out what it's actually really like. Did you go to university? You did go to university. We went to the same uni. Sorry guys.
Yes, I went to university. I studied nutrition and health, so it's nothing to do with HR at all. Nothing to do with any career that I've worked in, to be honest.
So that's like what I was going to ask you, if you felt like your degree had like a direct impact into your career field, but did it not make a real difference?
I would say it didn't, but in terms of like skills, like working in a team, meeting deadlines, just communicating with people on a different level, I think that I definitely got that from university, and obviously friends that you make and stuff. But in terms of my career, no, it hasn't. No.
And did you have to take any like professional qualifications when you first got into HR, or did you not need to?
I didn't need to take any professional qualifications, but what I did do is I did read around the type of qualification I would need to get at some point in my career, and I kind of used that I used that when I was going for interviews to find out, do they fund it? Is it something that they would want me to do, or is it something that that they think I should wait and get into the role and then do it after a few months and stuff. And also LinkedIn as well. I asked a few people that had that qualification and whether they did it before they got into their role. Most people said that the companies funded it, or it was part of like the offer. So I was like, I just thought, okay, so I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to wait, because if a company can fund it, I think that's better, I think.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't a case of like you necessarily needed that to get your foot in the door, because you know, like with certain sectors, it's like probably good to have like some kind of professional qualification if you don't have the experience. But it sounds like companies are willing to sponsor you if you like once you get your foot in the door.
They are. I can't speak for all companies, but I know that some companies, they just want to see that drive. They want to see that you even know what qualifications are needed anyway, so that you've done your research and stuff like that, and that you're committed. Because if they see that in you, that you're committed, and you know, then they will invest. They will actually invest in you. So. And
what is like a typical standard type of qualification for someone wanting to get into HR?
So many would say, so the CIPD, there's level 3, level 5 and level 7. Level 3, they would say that is equivalent to, level 3 is equivalent to, I believe, A level, and then level 5 is equivalent to a degree, and then level 7 is kind of like postgrad? Postgrad? Yeah. So when I wanted to do the qualification, I researched all of them, and I reached out to again someone on LinkedIn. And
LinkedIn is the plug, guys.
Honestly,
LinkedIn is
so
how
good.
I've got all my jobs.
It's really good. And then the person said that they wouldn't recommend that I do the level 3. They would potentially recommend I do level 5 or level 7, but it depends on whether I went to uni. And then I spoke to the company that I studied with, and they said if you've gone to uni, then just go for the level 7, because that's what they did recommend. But then when I was talking to my manager about it, when I finally got my role, and he was saying, so which one do you want to do so that we can fund it? I said, you know, I was thinking of doing the level 5. I kind of said that I wanted to do level 5, and he said, just do the level 7. The level 5 stuff we can teach you on a day-to-day. The level 7 stuff is a bit more high level, so do that, and then the other stuff we can teach you. Otherwise, you'll have to do the level 5, and then you do the level 7, and then it's just a bit...
This sounds long. Yeah. So basically doing a degree and then another degree.
Exactly. Yeah. Long. Exactly.
Okay. So what are there like sort of standard kind of like steps of progression within your field, or does it sort of vary? Like you came in as like a HR manager, and then now you've moved over to like more the HR risk and compliance side. Is that kind of standard within your field, or are there like different avenues people typically go down? There's
different avenues. I think it's what you're interested in. I think the good thing about HR is when you do start, and there are different like, you know, functions that you can actually get involved in or get stuck in. So recruitment, learning and development, advisory, policies, you know, payroll, and that sort of thing. And then you see all of those different aspects, and then you decide, okay, I want to do this or I want to do that. For me, I kind of liked the just making sure that HR was compliant with the regulators, making sure that, you know, any risk was controlled or mitigated or anything like that. So I knew that that's kind of what I want to do, but I didn't know whether there was a role for it, and they kind of the role was created around me, so I think I was lucky in that sense. But yeah,
that's really good actually. So like you were able to actually get into something that you wanted to do, and they've like sort of created that for you. It's good to know that there are opportunities like that are there.
Yeah, no, it is. It just depends on the company, really, honestly, and just you showing that drive.
Cool. And what's the like people side of like HR like? Because I think like when I think of HR, I see them as like the people who are there for us sort of thing. But then equally, I have had some times where perhaps maybe I blame them for stuff. And I feel like HR get a lot of blame for things because they're just, you guys are like the face of the people. And when something's going not quite right, it's like, okay, let's go to HR. I'm going to HR. So what is that like for you guys on a day-to-day dealing with like the people side of things?
It is good. It can be a bit frustrating at times because, you know, we're not just pulling things out of the air. We're actually following the like employment law. We're following these things. So we have to go by that. Otherwise, if anything went wrong or we did the wrong thing, we could get taken to a tribunal. So, you know, we are following, you know, the law, and we're following our policies, which are also shaped by the law. So that's the thing that we kind of just have to just stress to people that you didn't just wake up one day and say, okay, I'm going to just be like this or be like that. I've had quite a few people say, when I say I work in HR, they say, oh, you're one of them. But actually,
Oh, wow.
yeah, no, they do. You're one of them, or you're on that side. That, you know, that's the sort of, but it's not actually like that. I've heard that HR in some companies can be like that, but I've seen a different side to it. It's not like that. We're actually there to help people to, you know, if they're going through something, we're there to kind of advise. You know, we do a lot of stuff on well-being, you know, and lifestyle, and how to kind of just make your work day just work for you. So it's not bad at all.
No, that's good. It's good to know. To be fair, my HR's alright.
Yeah,
like most HRs I've worked in have been okay.
Yeah.
But I definitely have in the past been the person to like blame HR for stuff, for sure. I hold my hands up. So so like if I wanted to start out into, if I wanted to go into HR, like if I said tomorrow, okay, cool, I want to go into HR, perhaps I've just come fresh out of uni and I'm thinking of getting in that field, like is there like a standard kind of entry level salary that I can expect, or does it vary from sector to sector?
The salary does vary. When I was looking for this role in 2016, let's think about the year as well, because a lot of you are probably going to be coming out of uni or stuff like that. When I came out of uni, the role that I got was under 20k, and you probably laugh about that now, but now I know people leaving uni can get more than that, but let's just put it all into context. So for someone looking for a role now, entry level, in HR, I would say it's probably around the 24, 26 mark. And that's just based on the fact that we were recently trying to look for an assistant / administrator in HR, and that's the kind of top.
Yeah, so that's like the standard kind of entry level role.
I would say
into
that's
HR.
kind of, yeah, definitely. But that's in the financial sector. Other sectors I've seen lower than that.
Yeah,
so,
no, I was going to say, I think in finance, I think generally like financial services tend to pay a little bit more than most other sectors. But I think that entry level salary sounds pretty standard to me.
I think that's pretty good.
I think it's quite good because I definitely didn't leave uni on that.
No, neither did I.
So would you say like your field is predominantly like men or women, or is there quite a good balance?
I think there's a good balance. At my company, I mean, in the actual compliance department, it's pretty, there's quite a lot of women there. But in general, you know, looking on LinkedIn and stuff, it's balanced. I couldn't say that it was mainly male or it's pretty balanced, I would say.
That's good.
I think so.
That's good.
I
And do you feel like, is there like a lot of black people that work within the HR sector from what you've seen?
From what I've seen, there are many on the entry type level. I've seen a few in senior roles as well. In the mid, I don't know, it's not really that much, but yeah.
Okay. So for you, what would you say is like the most challenging aspect of HR? Like, what do you feel like people should be aware of that if they're potentially planning on going down that road?
Challenging. I think you're going to have difficult conversations with managers, with, you know, employees, with anyone really. You're going to have difficult conversations, and I think it's about, regardless of whether you're an entry level, you know, if you're entry level or you're mid or senior level, having those difficult conversations and just making sure that you stand your ground. There were plenty of times when I was just coming in, because of my role and having to, like, you know, kind of work in this regime and sort it out. I had to have conversations with quite senior people, them not wanting to provide information or give me things, and it's like they would say, "Oh no, don't worry, it's okay," and I was like, "Actually, no, I need that. So can you give it to me?" And obviously, it's good to kind of have these conversations with your manager as well before you have a conversation with someone, so that your manager can kind of have your back as well. So, but for me, I would say one of the challenging things for me is just having those difficult conversations, I would say.
I can imagine you probably have to do that quite a bit within the HR as well.
Yeah, you do.
And so, like, what for you is like the most fulfilling parts of HR? Like for you, what do you really enjoy about it?
I just enjoy making sure that everything kind of works together. Everything just comes together. Seeing something start that's just it's just a little seed, and then you kind of just you stay with it, and then you kind of just see it blossom really. I love the whole compliant and risk side of it, but I remember when I was working as an ops manager just before I got this role in HR, I was kind of working on policies as well. And we had a, can I talk about something that
yeah.
Okay, so our maternity policy wasn't great. It was 6 weeks full pay, and obviously I was pregnant at the time, so I was a bit annoyed that I was going to get 6 weeks full pay and then statutory, and you probably don't know this already, but statutory is 139-ish pounds a week to live off. So obviously there was quite a few women at my company that were pregnant, and some of them weren't married, some of them were single, so 6 weeks wasn't great. So I kind of just took it upon myself to just do some research into like maternity pay at other companies. I think I asked you, I might have asked Mel, just to kind of get a bit more research as to what other companies are doing. I built a business case, and then to cut a long story short, we ended up increasing our maternity pay to 3 months full pay. It's still small, but it's a change, and
those something
exactly, and those are the sort of things you can actually do in HR. Like you see a problem, you see something that actually that's not right, or we can do better, and you can actually make that difference. So quite a few people have benefited from this, and I know people will benefit from it in years to come. So you can definitely make a change, a difference.
See, guys, you see my friends. see how dope they are. Okay, cool. No, so that's so good. And so like, what kind of tips would you give to somebody like leaving university, thinking about going down the HR route, or perhaps someone that's, you know, not enjoying their current field and they want to like move into that space? Like, what sort of things would you have liked to have heard?
Do your research. I would like to have heard that. Obviously I went on LinkedIn. I would say use LinkedIn. Like there's so many, there's a world out there on LinkedIn. Like use it. There's so many people that are there doing what you could be doing in the next few months or years or whatever. So just use it. And also one thing I would also say that someone did tell me is don't always go for the higher salary. I know it sounds a bit weird, and I know when you're coming out of uni you just want to get that, you know, well-paid job and stuff, but I didn't take the higher salary when I was moving into HR, because what they were asking me to do was just, oh, you know, you're just going to do, you know, some offer letters and contracts, and that's all you're going to do. And some companies, when you're brought in to do something, you're there to just do that, and that is it. Whereas at my company, they were offering a lower salary, but it was like, okay, there was this avenue, that avenue, that avenue that you can go down. So I needed to just make sure that, yes, okay, this one was good because it was a higher salary, but they were only asking me to do two things.
So you have to look at the bigger picture of actually the experience
100%.
that you're going to gain. And I think that's such a good point to make, because I think a lot of people do just look at the money and think, oh, I just want that and I'm just going to chase the money. But actually it's about trying to get as much experience under your belt as possible, and eventually you'll be able to command that money and then some. So yeah, that's really good advice. Thank you. And final question, have you made any mistakes along the way in your career? And if you have, what sort of advice would you give to someone else to avoid them making the same mistakes?
Gosh, have I made any mistakes?
You might not have.
I don't know.
No, well, boy.
I don't think I've made any mistakes. I think.
Would you have done anything differently? So maybe not so much like when you've actually been within HR, but perhaps maybe on the journey to get there.
Actually, I would say try not to get comfortable, because I know that sometimes when you get comfortable, you're comfortable with your team, you're comfortable with your manager, even your journey to work, you're comfortable. You're just, and then you don't kind of see that there are other opportunities out there. You've learned all that you need to learn at one place, so actually it is okay to move on. And I feel like I normally kind of spend like 2.5-3 years at each company, because I feel like that's where I kind of hit my peak, and I'm like, okay, it's time to move on. I've spent a bit longer here, but I would say that's only because I went on maternity leave. And that's, you know, so I would say don't get too comfortable in your role. Yes, learn everything you need to learn, but when it's time to go, you know it, and then just look for other opportunities. But use LinkedIn.
LinkedIn is honestly the plug.
It really is.
But yeah, thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you so much for coming on my channel and dropping all the wisdom. Really appreciate it. I hope you guys have learned something. I definitely have, because a lot of the stuff she said I've never heard before. So, but yeah, so thank you so much. And if you guys have questions for Michelle specifically related to perhaps maybe something that she said or anything around HR or HR risk and compliance, please leave your comments below and I will reach out to her to follow up on those questions for you. But make sure you stay tuned for the next episode of the Career Plug series, and yeah, until the next video.